Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, in a flit of impulse, I've decided this Friday, July 3rd, to play Heroes of Might and Magic 2 again. Uh-oh, reality. Whew! That was close. We almost had a little bit of reality. Oh no, it's on the edge of reality! Oh, thank God. I have it under control. With triumphant music. I had an existential gaming crisis this week. Where, you know, Friday is a day where I get to take a day off and just play a game, relax, hang out, have a good time. And looking at a list of the day off games I've played about 100. Which is kind of insane, like 100 plus games. And I mean, I guess that makes sense because I've been doing it about once a week for about 3 years. So, not surprising, there are oftentimes more than 100 Fridays over the course of 3 years. So, the thing though is that no games really appeal to me. You know, I'm gonna put a hold on this triumphant sounding music. Yeah, like no games felt good to me. And this is something that I've been feeling lately. No games really get me so excited I can't help but think about it. Like the way that StarCraft has made me think about it. Cat, hold on, we're having a moment here. You know what I'm talking about? You know what I mean? Like with StarCraft, I remember being in high school, sitting, listening to the teacher, and suddenly something would poof pop in my head, and I would go, "Well, wait, what is it? What?" God, all right. I'm gonna pick this cat up. This cat's gonna be upset about it. No, it's not playing time. All right. Ow, fuck. All right. But I remember I would like be in class, something would pop into my head, like, wait, if I was able to double expand at that point in time, then I would get, then I think I'd be able to get enough gas to transition quickly to defilers, but if I did that, how would I hold off the mid game? My natural doesn't have a geyser. And I would sit there and I would think and I would stew, and I remember spending a long time thinking about going a Zergling heavy style because there was a period in the competitive scene in Brood War where your natural expansion didn't have gas. So there's a map like Nostalgia, oh god, all the WCG maps for a while just had freaking mineral only naturals like Azalea. You, out of 3 bases, had 2 gas geysers, so you had to figure out how that works. And I remember just thinking, like, well, can I pull off like a mass Zergling style against Terran? Does that actually work? Because for a long time it was like, no, you cannot. You build the Zerglings because you just can afford them, but it's all about the lurkers. And even Hydra Lurker was the big thing. But I remember sitting there thinking so long about that, and then trying it when I got home, and some of it worked, some of it didn't. And that excitement of seeing this long story and trying to shave that and sculpt that. And, you know, nowadays, when I think about games and I want to play a lot of games, I don't have that long, elegant, strategic arc that tickles me. I don't have that feeling. Magic the Gathering gives me that feeling. And great, I kind of want to play, you know, Paper Magic. I prefer Paper Magic, honestly. But yeah, that feeling, I'm missing that. Or the feeling of when I first installed Fallout 3. I think I've told the story before. It was like a 4 or 5 day weekend. I think it might have been a 5-day weekend. I think it had to have been a 5-day weekend. Was it a 4-day weekend? It was some really long weekend. And it was supposed to come out on a Thursday, and when I got home on a Wednesday night, it had been delivered. And I had, in grad school, I was having this weird problem where I didn't know that I was supposed to create my own project and work on it. No one really says that, but the course schedule is kind of set up to support that. Yeah, the course schedule is set up to support that. And I remember just not knowing what to do with all this free time. And then I played Fallout 3 the whole weekend. I literally got it, I installed it, and I played it until I couldn't stay awake anymore. Like, I played it till 4 or 5 in the morning and just woke up and played it until I couldn't stay up anymore. And I just did that until I had classes on Monday or Tuesday, or whenever the hell it was. It was so great. I loved that feeling of being absorbed in something. And right now, I just don't get that. that sensation of absorption. I want to be sucked into something. Struggling on that. Like, I like deck building in Hearthstone. I just, like, when I think, do I want to play Hearthstone all day today? I'm kind of like, what else? Yeah, I don't know. I'm trying to think of some of the great gaming experiences I've had. Earth Defense Force 2017. Earth Defense Force 2017. It's a game that is built to be pure fun. You pick 2 weapons and you go out onto a mission and you try to just kill all the enemies. And enemies consists of like hundreds of gigantic ants and spiders and walking mechazoids with lasers and dinosaurs with lasers for arms. Like, it's just purely ridiculous. But because there's so many enemies, you like fire a rocket into like a giant pack of ants and they explode up in the air and there's like 300 more. So you're just like running and shooting and explosions are going off. It's pure fun. And I remember I was at not a Circuit City. What's the name of that? It's an electronics store that's in Kansas City. It's at 95th and Metcalf. What the hell is it? Micro Center. I went to a Micro Center. Oh my god. And they had an Xbox 360 setup with Earth Defense Force 2017. My friend Brandon and I played it for like 10 minutes, had so much fun that we just bought the game. And we went to his place, and we played the shit out of Earth Defense Force 2017. This was when I was on a break over the summer. Was that in grad school? No, it had to have been in college. I was in a break over college. Hi, kitten. And I just went to his place and we played it for like 8 hours a day, every day, until we had 100%ed it. We 100%ed the game, unlocked every weapon, beat every game on every difficulty. I love these gaming stories. You're gonna get some cat ears right there. There you go, kitty. No, kitty. No, that's a webcam. You smell it. I remember when I worked at Oak Park Mall. You can look it up on Google Maps. Look up Oak Park Mall. Worked at Oak Park Mall at a place called Original Pizza. It was one of the first games I'd ever played, or excuse me, one of the first jobs I'd ever had. So I was looking at the cat and just my mouth was like, "I'll take it from here," and I was like, "Thanks, mouth," and all of a sudden my mouth was just saying shit. That really sucks. It's one of the first jobs I'd ever had, and it was kind of like a brutal job because, it's kind of like high intensity. There's a lot of people like cycling through that want their damn pizza. It's in a mall, food court, and it's like a very busy mall, so you're trying to like fill up the sodas, get there, and the manager's like, "That's only 85% full," and I was like, the bubbles is very bubbly, and it was very stressful and unrewarding. It's not like mind work, it's just like precision fast work. And I worked, I would often work 4 or 5 days in a row, pretty standard, and the other 2 to 3 days, I would just play Fallout 2. That's all I would do is play Fallout 2. I was just absorbed in that. Like, the moment I came home, I would just play Fallout 2 and just be in there. So my that summer, I remember so much the times at the arcade, playing at the arcade at Oak Park Mall, waiting for work to start, going to work, then maybe going to the arcade afterwards, but then going home and being sucked into Fallout 2. Oh, that was so awesome. Oh man, I remember going to LAN parties every weekend. I remember Warcraft 3. Oh, Warcraft 3. Oh my god. I remember in Warcraft 3, somehow we got a copy of Warcraft 3 before it came out. I don't know how this happened. I remember at a LAN party, I remember who it was, but someone just had a CD and they're like, "Dude, I have Warcraft 3," and it was like a burned CD. It was probably almost certainly illegal. It's like, "I have Warcraft 3," and I remember it was going to be out in like 10 days or some shit. Like, it hadn't been released yet. We were all like, "Oh my god, we all have to play Warcraft 3 and become the best Warcraft 3 players in the world." So that way when it releases, we can skyrocket to #1. This was our fantasy. And I remember all the different build. I still remember when spellcasters were overpowered when Warcraft 3 came out. And you just went, mass sorceress priestess, and you could just heal everything and slow everything. Oh my god, it was so awesome. I had this build order with Orc where I would go like mass grunt and get 3/3 upgrades, because I'd played StarCraft. Getting 3/3 upgrades was really, really important, right? Like, why would you not want to have upgrades for your units? But in Warcraft 3 it was different, because you had so few units that there came a point where it was actually just better to get the extra unit and not the extra upgrade. And I remember being at WCG 2004 in San Francisco, and having all the pros explain to me that you should never, ever get more than 1/1 upgrades. It was just useless beyond that. Like that's all. I remember when I played Warcraft 3 for a while, I switched back to StarCraft. And there was this StarCraft player named Dream with an E. And he was like, do you want to play Warcraft 3? And I was like, dude, I'm really good at Warcraft 3. You don't understand. And he's like, well, let's just play a fun game then. And I played human, and I went for a fast, not a archmage. Yeah, there you go. Wait, was it what's the mage hero? Is it just mage? I keep wanting to call him Antonidas because of Hearthstone. Whatever, poor brain wiring. Went for the mage and just blizzarded right on his worker line. I was like, yeah, I'm killing all his stuff. And then he just attacked my main, and I just died. And I remember being so angry. I was like, but I know I'm better. Oh, it is Archmage. My build, and I went back to StarCraft. Oh my god, these experiences just felt so good. I remember the first time. Okay, Beatmania 2DX. In Beatmania 2DX, I remember the first time beating V another. Like, you can look it up. It's like letter V and then in parentheses another. Not on random. I couldn't beat it on random. I had to like pre-plan and practice. But I remember playing so much Beatmania. I went to they had Beatmania at the arcade that I went to. Beatmania is a rhythm game. It's like the simplest rhythm game where the bar hits the bottom and you just push the button. It's not like in DDR where you have to do this complex stepping, or in Rock Band where you have to hold this and strum. It's just very simply just hit the button and there it is. And they had 5-key Beatmania at my local arcade, and I over the summer in 2005 I went to, was it 2005? No, it was when I was in high school, so must have been 2002 or 2003. I went to Hong Kong, and they had an arcade there, and I went to that as often as I could and like practiced a bunch of Beatmania. And when I came back to America, I was like super good at 5-key Beatmania. But in Hong Kong was the first time I'd ever seen a 7-key Beatmania machine. 7-key Beatmania. What? And it's a lot harder because like with 3 keys or with 5 keys, you just have like coverage with all your fingers. You just hit the stuff and you scratch the turntable and you just hit like that. It's like very straightforward. But with 7-key, like there was no good way to like have your hands there and to like hit the turntable. It was like so much harder. So I remember there's this emulator called Mixwaver that was basically like Beatmania, but you could, program your own songs and bring them in and all this stuff. And I remember playing so much Mixwaver, just shitloads of Mixwaver. And the hard part about translating Mixwaver skills to Beatmania is that Beatmania, it's 7 keys and then a turntable. So when the turntable bar hits the bottom, you gotta scratch it. But that's just space bar, because there's not like a natural turntable on your frickin' keyboard. So it was really hard for me to translate, hitting this bottom thumb thing to like this very different motion. But oh my god, I played that so much. And the song V Another, I love this. It was the first song that I remembered in Hong Kong, and I was like, I'm gonna beat that one on the hardest setting. And it took me like years of trying to practice. Whoops. Remember in high school it was so much of just Beatmania StarCraft. Alright, cat. For a brief period, Warcraft 3. And I think that there's a few game experiences that I've had since then that have felt that I've had an equally amazing thing. Like, I remember when Hearthstone first came out. That's probably one of the more recent ones. When Hearthstone first came out, and I played Hearthstone, I remember my brain was just, like, blown open because it was just so fun, and it just felt like there was all this possibility. I mean, this is something that almost hurts a little bit, that, like, over time, the amount of possibilities just shrink with so many millions of researchers in the form of players just working on something slowly shrinking that down. Same story with StarCraft. This is why I like what Magic the Gathering does, the constant releasing of new cards, because it's just, okay, people are starting to figure out the meta, and then boom, new decks, okay, they're starting to figure it out again, little expanding that out. Dark Souls 2, I remember playing Dark Souls 2 all day, on stream, getting off stream, going to dinner with Tristan. I was living with him for a bit. Then we got back from dinner and I just played I just started a new account on Dark Souls 2 and just played that thing up. God, just that feeling of absorption in something where you walk away from something and you just can't stop thinking about it. And I mean, I know everyone's experienced that with a crush, like, you know, oh, Mary Sue, she's amazing. She's the most beautiful girl in the world. Whoa. Isn't it amazing, of all the billions of men out there, that each one has identified the most beautiful girl in the world? And it's pretty much the other billion people, or the other many billion people on Earth, right? It's one of those, there's that feeling you away from Mary Sue, like sucked into Mary Sue, can't stop but be in love with Mary Sue. But then when you take that feeling and it's something like a game that's an experience, all of a sudden you can go to your friend and you can be like, did you also get sucked in when you first played Dark Souls 2? And then go, yes, I can. And suddenly it's like a community of people all talking about this mental crush. I mean, the analogy is getting really creepy because I'm not trying to say that loving a game is like being able to talk to millions of people on a forum about how they all have a crush on the same person, which I guess happens in a place called Tumblr. But God, I love that. That's a feeling I treasure so much, when you read a really good book and you can't stop thinking about it, and you also talk to someone who can't stop thinking about it. But with a game, it's just so much more meaningful and visceral to me. Like, hello, cat. Because it's like that experience of like who you are. I am. Like, I'm about to play Here's Might and Magic 2. I am the commander of the forces of evil, trying to overtake Roland. I'm trying to think of the last time when I was so sucked into a game. When I was so absorbed into a game that I just couldn't stop thinking about it. Do you need to be held? Are you the game? Yep, right shoulder, best shoulder. I love that feeling. I love that feeling more than anything. This has been a nice reminiscing. I'm going to go take a brief break to get these kitties, ow, off me. Ow. And then let's come back and play some Heroes of Might and Magic 2. Woo!